All right. I have to ask myself, should I be prepping? The economy. It's getting, I think it's getting really bad out there. I stress about it sometimes, and maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. But in the job I have, the economy matters. If people are going out there and spending, I'm in a consumer industry, and I see the trend, people aren't spending. So, but that's okay, because maybe, I mean, I'm not either, right? But a couple years ago, around COVID, and when I was off of work because of COVID, I started getting into these prepper sites, and I found them very interesting, but it started to scare me. So I would make a little shopping list, and so when I would go to the store and go by that list and then buy items that I needed, to stock up, to prep. And so I called myself a minimalist prepper, but I don't know if that's really such a thing. Um, because I did get a collection of food when I could find it, because during COVID, the first month or so, it was hard to buy pasta, it was hard to buy bread and yeast. And the bread and the yeast I was going to use because I was actually going to make pepperoni rolls while I was off, and I didn't have yeast. And so that kind of made me mad, because I'm like, does everyone in town, are they really baking bread? Because I was going to use these, so I had a reason to buy it. So, but I did finally find. I think it took me 2 or 3 months to find yeast. I found flour, probably a month into it, but it did take me longer to find the yeast. And of course, when I did find it, I bought 2 or 3 packs of yeast. But I did make my pepperoni rolls. But I started watching these prepper sites, and I got to go out and I got to buy this food, and I got to buy all these hygiene supplies, and but now that I'm moving, well, first of all, I did stop buying food. I stopped buying all this food and all these hygiene supplies, because I was just running out of room, and I just really got kind of tired of it. So the first thing I did was get off the prepper sites. And there's people that enjoy the prepper sites, and that's fine, and that's great. And if it's something that you enjoy doing and you feel you need to do it, that's great too. So hopefully you'll never have to use it, though. But I did stop the prepper sites because they were stressing me out and they were worrying me. And then as I'm watching, I'd sit there and make my grocery list out and buy items that, yes, I use, because I would never buy food that I wouldn't eat, but buy items that I would use, but like cans of green beans. Okay, we eat a lot of green beans, and but I think at one time I probably had 30 cans of green beans, and they weren't going to expire for quite a bit, because I do watch the expiration date. But we don't eat that many green beans, so 30 cans, there's just 2 of us, so 30 cans would probably be about a year's supply for us. So, because we do eat other vegetables other than green beans, um, so I did stop buying. I think green beans and the canned corn was probably 2 of the hardest things for me to stop buying, because I would go through the vegetable thing. No, I'm not going to buy green beans. I've got plenty of green beans, and I got plenty of corn and carrots, so I don't need it. So I even bought cherry pie filling, and because you never know, and cherries are supposed to be good for you for like gout or something like that. I don't know that cherry pie filling is that good for you, but the probably the funniest thing about that is, and I know I said that I would never buy food that we don't eat. I don't like cherries. I like the cherry that's on top of a ice cream sundae. I will eat that. But when it comes to eating a cherry pie or cherry delight, it's some kind of dessert with cherries in it, I don't like it. I would eat it in a pinch, but it's not my preferred dessert. But I had to have 2 cans of cherry pie filling, so that's something that won't make the move with us, and that's the thing, because as I'm decluttering, it's like, what am I going to do with all this food? But we've done a really good job of planning our meals around what I have, and some of the food will go with us, but not a whole lot at all. um, but we don't really, because we have gotten it down. The last couple months have been rough for my job, and I've had to rely on what I've had in my pantry. So there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of food stocked, and there's nothing wrong if you want to prep for 10 years of food, then that's your prerogative. We do live in a free country, so you're allowed to do that, but it's just not something that I have the space for. So what I ended up doing, so I asked myself, should I be prepping? Should I still be prepping? And so instead of concentrating on buying foods, canned foods, and stuff that takes up space, and when you're getting ready to move, you don't need all that space taken up by food. So instead, I went out and I bought some seeds, and I bought green beans, lettuce, tomatoes, onions. I bought some spices, because I like spices, peppers, eggplant, pumpkin, and different fruits, watermelon, and things like that, and corn. But I won't be able to have a garden this year due to moving, and I didn't really have a garden the last couple of years. I have gardened in the past, but where I live now, it's kind of hard. But I do want to have some type of container garden next year, so that is my plan. And I bought eggplant. I can't cook eggplant. I don't know how many times I have bought eggplant from the produce section, because this time I'm going to do it, and I can't cook eggplant. I'll go to a restaurant and they'll have this dip and it has eggplant in it, and I'll ask them what's in it, so I'll go out and buy an eggplant, because I so want to be able to cook eggplant. I'm not a bad cook. Some people think I'm a pretty good cook. I just can't cook eggplant. But I had to have the eggplant seed. So don't know if I'll ever plant it, if that's going to be worth my time. But so I am prepping, but I've got it to where it's all in one small container. I'm not prepping to the point where I'm going to have 2, 3, 4, even 10 years worth of stuff. I don't have, like I said, I don't have the space for that. And when you're moving, you have to prioritize a lot of what you're taking with you. But the economy is getting bad. And uh, so every once in a while, I do ask myself, should I be prepping? But so that's just a little bit about my prepping in the past and what I'm doing moving forward into as I'm getting ready to move. So, should I be prepping? I think that you should be prepared. I think there's nothing wrong with being prepared. For some people, they're not going to feel comfortable unless it's 2 to 10 years, maybe, of preparedness. I think I'm happy with 2 to 3 months, probably more so on the 3 month side. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to be prepared. When I move down south, I'm going to be moving into hurricane country and hurricane territory. So I will have to have some kind of emergency pack ready, some kind of, food available, food and water. I think that that's something that I'm always going to have. So at one point, being in these prepper sites was something that, I did learn from. So it's just full term prepping is not for me. But once I move down south and get into the hurricane season, I will have to have some kind of pack ready to go or container ready to go. And that's just common sense. That's just smart, because you hear going to the store and getting bread and water because a hurricane's coming or something like that, and that's just not something. So that's not something that I want to have to deal with. So there's different reasons why you would prep in different regions, and that would be the biggest reason why I would always prep, be prepared in going down south. So in West Virginia, you don't worry about hurricanes, and not sure what you would worry about weather-wise, maybe a blizzard, but last couple years haven't been bad at all for snow. Last probably 5 or 6 years hasn't been bad for snow. I think this past winter we had like 2 days of snow, maybe 3 days of snow. We had the cold weather, but not necessarily the snow. So, but I'm over the snow, so that didn't bother me at all. But so that's something that I think being a member of the prep sites has made me come to realize, what exactly do I need. So that I will continue on. It just won't be 2 to 10 years worth of stuff. Bye for now.